Hey guys, it's your favorite Unk here. Go ahead and click that subscribe button below so you don't miss a single episode of Nightcap. That button right here. Come for the sports, stay for the stories. ESPN Tim McMahon reported that one NBA executive believes that Jokic winning his third MVP in 4 years is not going to age well. I had somebody from another team who was saying you can't, in a historical context, you cannot give this guy 3 MVPs in 4 seasons. Basically, his take was like, that's not going to age well. But Jokic's been dominant. Gil, 26.5 points, 12.3 rebounds, 9 assists, 1 steal, 1.3 steals in 73 games. He's shooting 58% from the floor, 34% from deep. If he brings home his third MVP, he brings home his third MVP. Just because you guys effed it up and wouldn't give it to guys that Jordan probably should have 7 or 8. LeBron should probably have 6 or 7. Other guys, that ain't their fault. But here's the problem that you had, Gil. Until 1981, players voted for the MVP. Let's just think it for a second. People at home. 1 year, Wilt Chamberlain averaged 44 points and 27 rebounds. And he finished 8th in the MVP voting. I want you to hear me again. He averaged 44 and 27 and finished 8th in the MVP voting. The year that he averaged 50 and 25, he did not win the MVP. So you have players like, if I don't like you, I ain't voting for you. So you see what happened prior to the 80s? Players voted for the MVPs. So now you got the writers, and so maybe Wilt should have. The man had 500. What do you have? I think he had 551 consecutive double-doubles.
Yeah.
We're applauding Sabonis for having 54. The man went damn near 5-6 years and had double-doubles.
Yep.
He never finished the season with less than 18 rebounds in a season. He averaged 23 rebounds for a season for a career. So he probably should have more. And then you wouldn't be upset that Jokic has the potential to win 3 and 4 years if they had done it right. So you wouldn't be mad because Jordan would have 7, and you say, well, damn, if he get 3, he only 2 behind Jordan, and he's 28. That means he's only 1 behind LeBron. He's only 28. He's only this, and he got. That's not his fault. That's not his fault that y'all messed it up.
I got to use your language, that 1964 language. Those mofo jive turkeys, like you're right. They screwed it up, Unc, and you can't rewind it back. Like, no. I understand both sides. One side, the fact that they're having the discussion that they can't give it to him, that is disturbing, which means you've been doing this the whole time.
Thank you. Thank you.
You've been penalizing people the whole time to protect who?
Historical.
And what, right? Who have you been protecting and what have you been protecting? Because you've been doing it. We know Jordan should have 7. So who? He should have 3 in a row. Were you protecting Bird's 3 in a row by not giving to Michael Jordan, right?
Or LeBron?
LeBron should have had some. Shaquille should have had some.
Yes.
Kobe has one. Now I do understand when they say this about Jokic. Jokic is probably statistically, when it comes to overall game, the worst MVP winner. He's the worst MVP winner in the last 40 years.
Why you say that?
When you're talking about MVP, the guys outside of first and second place, their teams was first and second place. The people who won the MVP, their teams was first and second. When Jordan won it, his team record, they were 7th in the NBA. That year, he averaged 35, 6, 5, 3 steals. All-Star MVP, Defensive Player of the Year, scoring title, steals leader. That was the MVP. Historic year. Makes sense, right? That makes sense. When Westbrook won it, His team had the 10th best record. Triple-double.
First time since Oscar Robertson in 6.
He did something amazing. His team was 10th, but he did something that wasn't done since Oscar Robertson. When Jokic in 2021, Jokic's team was 5th. He averaged 26, 8, and 10. What was the historic part of that? There was no historian. Oh, the big man almost had a triple-double. Let's give it to him. That's what the narrative was. A big man almost won the triple-double, and they gave it to him when his team record was like that. His second MVP, his team was tied in 10th place. 10th best record in the NBA, 27, 8, and 13. What was historic about it? The two people before him had an amazing season. When you're talking about historic, Magic, team's first place, second place, first place. Jordan, 7th, 2nd, 1-1. Bird, 1-1. His team was first place every time he won it. LeBron, first, 4th, first. Jokic, 5th and 10th. That is, they did that.
Yes.
They did that. And it ain't his fault. He didn't vote for himself.
Right.
You did it. So either you're going to correct it or keep fucking it up.
Yeah. Well, Jokic probably said, don't correct it on my watch.
Because
don't pick my season to use whiteout and make a correction.
Yeah. So look, his first 2 ones, he probably shouldn't have had those. If you go by history, last year, that should have been his, shouldn't have been Embiid's. Jason Tatum team has been 1. He's been the best player. He's averaged 30. He's had the number with the rest of history. That was his MVP. Mm-hmm. Now, Jokic is sitting in first with great stats, right?
And you go win it.
Now, you know what I mean? Now you're sitting there like, well, shit. I mean, we done cheated for him the last couple of years, so we got to give it to him this year. So when you look at the history of this game, right? How Jokic won his MVP has never been. It's like we're dumbing down.
Right.
We're dumbing down the game for a narrative.
Right.
If you want Euros to look like they're playing well, then just let them play well. When Giannis was winning. He was dominating everything. His team was won. He dominated from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. Both years he won.
Right.
You don't need to handicap greatness.
Right.
You need to handicap greatness.
Kareem probably should have won it every year in the 70s.
Yeah.
Kareem probably should have won it every year in the 70s.
Like
people don't realize how good Kareem was because he was mercurial. He didn't do a whole lot of talking to the media. It's kind of surly. I think it hurt him a lot. His behavior when he played hurt him and after, because that's why he didn't get a coaching job. But you go back and look at Kareem's stats in the 70s when he was with Milwaukee. When he's averaging 35, he's averaging 35 and 15 and 33 and 16 with 3 blocks and all that. You're like, hold on, who won it? I think Moses Malone was the last one to win the MVP with a losing record. I think in the late 70s. People don't realize Moses Malone got 3 MVPs.
Yeah, Moses. I got Moses here. I mean, in the 80s, his team was first and second. They had his second best record. This must be 70s.
Because he won it his only year in Philly, the year they won the championship in 83. You look at his numbers, he should have won it. And
his team was first. His team was first too in 83.
What he won? He might have won it in 81. Who won it in 81?
He won it in 82 and 83. And his team was second in 82, and his team was first, had the first best record in.
Did he win it in 78? Was it 78, 77?
Listen, I ain't even go down to the 70s. I was winning the last 40 years, look.
Right. But
it's like when you're looking at it, it's like when you look back in history and say, all right, he has the 5th best record, average 20, like if you take it's the assist that we want to glorify that kind of puts his stat in another category. But it's not to the point where he did what Westbrook did. Oh, he averaged triple-double. We used, a big that can pass the ball. That's not how you do. You can't do that. And the fact that you did it for that, now his team is in first. It's like, well, you
got to give it to him.
You got to give it to him now. Like it's him, or you give Jason Tatum the MVP he deserves.
I don't think Jason Tatum is going to finish top 3. I think the top 3 will be Jokic. I think it's going to be Luka, Shai Gilgeous. It's going to be one of those, and then Giannis is going to probably be there somehow. Now that's going to be your all NBA team: Jokic, Giannis, JT, Shai, and Luka. That's going to be your all NBA team, your first team. But I don't think
even with Luka. It's not a real triple-double. We already seen it before. Like when James Harden had his in 2018, his team was first.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, that's why I said, like, what is the criteria? Because you're giving mixed signals. No one, like, I know Jason Tatum's over there like, what do I need to do? My team's in first place. Every year, we've dominated every year. I'm the best player, and I'm playing very well. How am I not an MVP? In 2022, team was first. He averaged 27, 8, and 4, and went against 27, 8, and 13. But his team was 10th. Like, how do you justify it? That's what I'm saying. Like, they need to sit back and see how are you justifying when you've never done this before?
Right. Well, it's hard to correct a wrong when the wrong has already been committed.
Yep.
So the guy's like, hold on, wait a minute. So you talk about historical purposes, because prior to Bird winning 3 in a row, I think the person that won 3 in a row was it Wilt or Russell? I think it might have been Wilt. Might have been Wilt that won 3. Because if you go back and look at that season, if you look at the season, I think Russell won it that year. I think he averaged like 15 points and 23 rebounds. Mm-hmm. Wilt was 50-25. Elgin Baylor was like 38-19. Walt Bellamy was like 36-17. Jerry West was like 36-5. Bob Pettit was 35. That was statistically, they say that was the greatest NBA season ever. And if you go back, fans, if you get an opportunity, go back and look at the numbers in that season, and I think you'll see what they're talking about. But really, if you really thought about it, if you look at it, Wilt should have run, like, I understand that his team, and Russell dominated, but you look at Wilt's numbers, they're like crazy. Like, how?
But that's what I'm saying. You got guys who didn't win, who wasn't there, and they had crazy numbers. And what is crazy about 26? Like when Kobe, like now, as a Laker fan and a Kobe fan, it is upsetting now when Kobe had that historic year individually behind MJ, right?
Yeah, that 35. Was it 2000? 2005, 2006?
Yeah, it was 2005.
In the 6th.
So no,
because that was the year he averaged. He had 81. He had that 50. He had like 3 straight games of 50.
So his team had the 10th best record, just like Jokic. And I don't even know if Kobe finished second.
Right. They were, back then the voters were still out on Kobe because what transpired was probably still fresh.
That hasn't. What the hell does that have to do with the game itself?
But I'm just telling you how they think.
I know that. You know what? Listen, AI taking over everything. AI kicking writers out. Kick some of these writers out.
Right.
Report AI this and see who it votes for.
I used to vote. I used to be a voter for the All-Pro team, MVP. Rookie of the year, defensive player of the year, things of that nature. And I watched all the games. I watched the players. I'm not just your name. Your name don't do it for me. And just because you got a big name and you don't win the 3 All-Pro teams back to back, no. I'm watching your play, and it's going to determine whether I believe you're Defensive Player of the Year or your OPY or your MVP. And so I took it serious. And that stuff off the field, I'm voting for a football player. Yep. What he did on the field. What he did off the field, hey, that ain't got nothing to do with that. It didn't stop him from being great on the field. So that's how I voted. And I voted for a decade. I picked every MVP correctly. I picked every Defensive Player of the Year basically correctly. I missed one Defensive Rookie of the Year. I ain't gonna tell you who it was, but I missed that one. That was the only one I missed. But I get it, Gil, and I'm just saying, and you know how they're human, and they factor things in, things that happen off the field, although they shouldn't. Sometimes they let personal feelings or bias creep into the subconscious, maybe not even the subconscious. Like, I ain't voting for him because I think he's this or I think he's that, and it happens. And I definitely believe that's what happened to Kobe.
Yeah, no, that happens to a lot of people, and that's the problem. Like when you're looking, it's like you have to play the game within the game, but you shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to kiss up to you for you to vote correctly.
Right. Yeah.
That is not part of the game that we train for. We're not training every single day to kiss ass. So this guy who see me once, twice a year votes for me correctly. He don't put no bias in it, right? I think, like something like that, it needs to be AI generated and then let the commissioner, whoever, go from there. Because if you let the commissioner and his staff vote, that is great because they have no input in the day-to-day relationship with a player. There's no bias against someone like Trae Young. Trae Young, only way he wins the MVP, he averaged 35, 10 assists, his 40. Team won, he smiled, he took the referees out to dinner, he done rescued some puppies, right? He done, like, he has to do the Man of the Year award.
Trae Young can't even make the All-Star game, averaging 27 and 10. So he damn ain't win no MVP unless he averaging 40 and 15. I'm just keeping stacked with y'all, man. I mean, the last 2 years, he's 25, 27 and 10, and he can't even sniff the All-Star game.
There's like just certain stats that it's weirded. Like I have Wemby as a Defensive Player of the Year, right?
Yeah,
hands down.
Should get.
Right. And someone said, well, his team ain't winning.
So he is.
That don't stop the steals leader from winning this award. That don't stop the assist leader from winning his award. That don't stop the block leader, the scoring leader, or the rebounder. It don't stop those categories from winning their award.
Exactly.
Best passer in the league, the best defensive player. When he's on the court, this is what he does. His metrics is this. If it doesn't relate to wins, it's not his fault.
Right. But he can't guard everybody.
His plus minus says he is the best defensive player in the NBA. It has nothing to do with his record.
Yeah. And he's been phenomenal. I hope it hadn't happened. I mean, we've only had one MVP. That was a rookie. That was Wes Unseld. I think that was 69. Mm-hmm. It doesn't happen often. In baseball, I think it's happened. I wouldn't look at Shohei as a rookie because he played professional. I think Fred Lynn of the Angels won Rookie of the Year and MVP. Maybe Ichiro did too. But I think Fred Lynn of the Angels, Ichiro might have won it when he beat Jason Giambi in 2001. Maybe Ichiro did. I'm not sure. But I think Fred Lynn is the only guy I can think of. Now, what Gretzky, see in hockey, Gretzky won the MVP 9 straight times. 9 years in a row. And he was the best.
But they did it right. That is right. Like when I'm looking back, when I'm looking at, where is that? When Michael Jordan was them 80s, and you're sitting there like, all right, okay, Karl Malone, okay, your team was second. That means Michael Jordan's team was first. How did you win that one? David Robinson,
Well, first of all, Davis should have won over Akeem that year because Akeem made him pay for it too when they got the playoffs in '94. He should not have won it that year.
But it's just when you look through history, it's like history's been jaded by personal agendas.
Yeah.